Hi, neighbors. Welcome to Season 3 of The Stoners Next Door with the king and queen of mayhem, Aaron and Mal. Remember to kickstart your weekend here every Friday with a curated critique of some of the craziest posts by your next-door neighbors from around the country.
This is Aaron, and welcome back to part 2 of our interview with Dr. Paula-Noel Macfie. She's a PhD from the California Institute of Integral Studies in San Francisco. She runs a business called Backdoor Medicine. Her ancestors arrived in Oregon in 1859 from County Cork, Ireland, and she also has ancestors from Scotland. And so that is why I'm drinking a toast to her this morning with some Glenfiddich Scotch 12, because my ancestors are also from that area. Her PhD was in the recovery of the indigenous mind, and she works with Native American groups. She's a member of the Oregon Native American Business Chamber and serves on the Oregon Cannabis Commission. Today, in part 2, we're going to cover the suppositories that she has been working on. So explain that to me in terms of, like, did you make these yourselves? Are they available?
Well, the basics of it is, back, I'd say about 10 years ago, my brother was dying of rectal cancer. And I was pregnant at the time, and I was doing some research on what I could use in terms of plant medicine to help him. And I came across Rick Simpson and his research and his oil. But by the time I could get it all together, my brother passed, and then I had some complications from childbirth, and I was suffering from rectal fissures. And in the middle of the night, I'd used everything from Western to naturopathic, and nothing was working, and I was in dire pain. And I just had this idea, and I got online, and I was researching. I don't know where my brain went, but I came across a Tommy Chong article on him using suppositories for prostate cancer. And I thought, oh my God, I'll use a suppository. So I got online and I got a mold, and I think at the time I was using coconut oil, which I do not use now. And I got some of the oil, and my brain took over, and I just knew how to make it. I can't
instinctively.
So I made some.
Instinctively.
It was very, very instinctive and,
sure.
and intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
And within 2 days, my fissure was healing, and I was out of pain. So then I started telling a medical doctor about it, and she said, oh my God, I need to send patients to you to show them how to make these. So that's where it really got started, is I just started consulting people that wanted to use suppositories, because it was known that you could use high doses and not have a head high. Oh. So I started researching why, and then I did more research, and I was like, wow, how are they made? Like, I just needed to know more. So I got online, and I found at the Heidelberg Castle in Germany, in the apothecary underneath the castle, on the table is a suppository mold. And so I have a line of ancestors that have gone through Germany. And I was like, wait a minute, Crazy. I know this. I know to do this. So Crazy. I kind of brought that research knowledge forward into today. And I bought this mold, but I was struggling with using it because I had to use a knife to jam it open. I thought, I had this visual of a mold for people who had limited use of their hands. So I had a business grant through NAIA, the Native American Youth and Family Association, and I hired a designer through it with a grant, and I invented a mold for people with disabilities. So it kind of my inspiration from my suffering and my brother's suffering turned into me utilizing suppositories, showing countless people how to work with them, getting their narrative and their story and their feedback, so then I could pay it forward to the next person. Because with cannabis, it's not one size fits all. It's really specific to what an individual person's need is. So I found over time that I could use up to 250 milligrams and get high doses in, to deactivate certain kinds of things like that are going on with cancers or going on with, Parkinson's. Like, it can really calm things down. That's the best way I can describe it, is that the suppositories just calm things down, and it saturates the endocannabinoid system, which is the most unused system in our body, but it's the system that governs every other system. And thank you, Dr. Knox, for giving me that knowledge. So without that major system running, we're kind of like coming up with all of these conditions. So I just started using suppositories to get large doses in to saturate the endocannabinoid system and then kind of use them as maintenance when I feel funky or feel off. And, paying forward how to make them, how to make this knowledge accessible. The number one issue is accessibility to the oil that's used to make the suppositories. And also in my research knowledge, I do not use coconut oil because of a detox response it can initiate. So I use raw organic cow butter, and it doesn't smell as much in the kitchen. It's just, it's 2 ingredients and a mold, and that's all I use for my medicine. I don't take steroids. I don't take gabapentin. I don't take any traditional MS drugs. I have contraindications to almost every drug. So I'm an anomaly to the medical system because I can't be treated with most of the drugs, but I can certainly be treated with plants. So the suppositories are really the way I function with all of my major health conditions. And that has been paid forward to the countless people that have learned how to make them and shared with me their stories of not having to have, one of the bags on them, not having their chunks of their colon removed because it's like they were just missing that key ingredient of the endocannabinoid system getting a chance to function. That's all. That's it. That's all we need is that endocannabinoid system to function. And so unfortunately with that, there's a lot of products and things out there that confuse medical patients and actually make medical patients sick. Like all we really need to do is get that endocannabinoid system up and running. And then there's these like benefits of like calming things down like PTSD and calming down muscle spasms. And, there's multitudes and multitudes of benefits from that one plant. It's just we have to have the knowledge and be educated about it so we can make that choice. And we as patients in this system, this colonizing system of medicine, we're not given that choice because doctors are simply not educated. So it's kind of up to researchers to bring the knowledge forward. And I'm a bit of an independent rogue, so I'm not into
You sound a bit Irish to me. You sound like one of those uppity, like Irish, Scottish women. Do you have red hair?
Oh, I have red hair and we are island people, we existed out on Iona and Colonsay. We're the Steel Clan. Like we didn't need people to do our thing. People came to us for our ways.
Okay, can I interrupt for just 1 second? I am seeing a rainbow out my window just now.
Oh,
right now I'm seeing a rainbow. This is crazy.
Oh, our ancestors are thrilled. They're thrilled.
That's great.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. So what kind of, let's just talk about a few of the different kinds of things you can treat with this. Are there specific ailments that it's better for than others? Or, what have you found?
For me, it's like I haven't learned of a condition that it doesn't work for other than somebody using coconut oil and getting diarrhea, because when you put it in there, if the body has a lot of toxins or has compromised, it'll reject it. So the only side effect I've ever heard is that somebody has got diarrhea from the coconut oil giving a detox response. So other than that, restless legs, it's rocket science for restless legs, which I get a lot. Muscle spasms, nerve pain, muscle pain, any kind of pain from any injury. The only obstacle is getting it in. I worked with a lot of people, and there was one woman who just would not let anybody do it for her. She lived at home, and she had crippling arthritis, and she could not use her hands. So that's kind of what got me on the how can I help somebody like her? But she just couldn't utilize it, and it breaks my heart that it's so highly beneficial if somebody's on hospice and they're dying. Some people don't want to be jacked up on morphine. It just allows the body to calm down. Put a suppository in, it takes psilocybin as you're passing. Let the body integrate. So we're just not given that opportunity to let our body integrate with itself. So suppositories, when you put it in your root chakra, you're at the base making a connection. And that's where the communication begins with your body. Because then a patient will go, okay, wow, I feel like I haven't thought about my pain for the last 10 minutes. And I'm like, that's the first step. If you're not thinking about your discomfort and your pain, that is a place to be. And if that's the only place you get and you have to do all these other things, fine. But when you have chronic pain and you have to live with it, having to think about it all the time sucks. So to have that pause is important.
And I should say that as soon as I mentioned the rainbow, it went away. So it was definitely a sign. But do you think these are ever going to be made available commercially, or do you have to create a recipe specifically for each individual in their circumstance?
Well, that's ideal because, they're for sale in Washington and it's $5 for 20 grams and it's got like palm oil in it, which the body can't really utilize and process. Plus what palm oil does, to the ecosystem. So, you can spend $5 for a suppository and get 20 milligrams, or you can spend $3 and get, 180 milligrams.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the other thing is that in the one suppository on the shelf, they take out the chlorophyll. But chlorophyll mimics blood, and you're putting the suppository directly into the bloodstream. So you want that chlorophyll to help deliver the medicine and give those cells oxygen. So really the best way to do it is to make it yourself because it's more affordable and you get quadruple the dose from what you could purchase in a dispensary. People don't touch it as a product because it really has to be talked about in a way that is accessible to people that don't want to put their finger in their back door. So my approach is like, I'm going through it. I'll talk about it. I'll put it on the table so that you're comfortable enough to try it. That's the most important thing is that I can meet somebody where they're at with putting a suppository in their back door. That's one of the most important things is to make it accessible and real.
As a gay man, I don't find that a problem, but
no, but
a lot of people do.
That's the place they don't go.
Sure.
And I get it. But it also is a place that can be that as a method of delivery has been used for centuries.
Sure.
Suppositories were used all over the world for centuries. There's a knowledge that it goes directly into the bloodstream right there. So it's the root chakra. And then we also have challenges with that place in our culture. So it heals on so many levels.
Well, this has been a fascinating discussion. Now, where can people go to connect with you and learn more about what you have to offer?
Yeah, so I have a website, it's very basic. It's just a way to get a hold of me. It's backdoormedicine.org. And I also have 2 Instagram handles. One is Backdoor Medicine, and the other one is Cannabis Suppositories. And I put on there my latest research tangents, my grow, my process, and, some suppository knowledge.
Well, Dr. Macfie, this has been incredibly enlightening. Thank you so much for spending time with me and our listeners this morning. We would love to have you back again to follow up with you and continue on this journey with you and learning more about your research and any updates that you have to offer.
Yeah, that sounds great. I think that rainbow is a sign.
I do too.
Yeah, that's a good one. Thanks for manifesting that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's back. It's back again now. Yeah, it just came back. So, all right. Well, we'll talk to you next time. Thanks so much.
All right.
And remember, no matter who you are or where you live, always be nice to the stoners next door, because you never know who they are and you never know what stories they have to tell.
The Stoners Next Door is a production of Aaron Douglas Enterprises, LLC.